Hi, everybody. Coming to you on a Monday morning. Cloudy skies starting to break up around the area, and that's where I began. You're looking at the Oregon Garden Resort camera down in Silverton. These were all overcast skies just an hour or two ago, and you can see the clouds starting to break up there in the Mid Willamette Valley. And then if you look at the Channel House in Depot Bay, starting to break out of what was a mix of fog and solid low clouds this morning. There may have been some mist in some areas, but I simply did not see any reports of that. And the cloudiness we had this morning is basically brought on by a little surge impulse in the upper atmosphere. That's moving out, so we will see increasing sunshine into this afternoon, at least here on the west side. Now, with that said, I am tracking a really active morning out east. This is radar and lightning detection showing up in the yellow symbols. This is courtesy of KGW TV, their Doppler radar display. We've got lightning strike north of Madras. We've got a cluster of lightning strikes out in the Columbia Basin and then getting into the blues between Pendleton and LeGrand and also northward up through the Columbia Basin in Washington. This was activity that has just simply blown up, quickly redeveloped over the past hour or two. And while you're looking at this busy display, I want to point out the last time I talked to you, I think before I had a getaway weekend with some family in town, was back on Thursday. And on Thursday, we had a chance of some rain Friday morning. Didn't really materialize, but what did materialize was the fact that thunderstorms blew up to the extent across eastern and central Oregon, much of what we're looking at right now, kind of similar, that the flow pattern over the weekend actually brought those clouds back to the west over the Cascades into the valley. And we had a dab of rain in some spots Saturday. We had actually measurable rainfall at PDX Sunday morning. Now, it wasn't much. It wasn't, a soaking. It was 0.01. But that was measurable rainfall that snapped what had been a 47 consecutive day streak of no more than a trace of rain out at the airport. Anyway, the weekend turned out to be cloudier, in some cases wetter, and certainly not as toasty warm as I thought it would be. Temperatures were in the low to mid 80s because of the strength of the storms that developed out east and again kind of migrated back our way. Now, the flow pattern over the weekend was different than today. So on this Monday, August 7th, I don't see a flow pattern that would bring the clouds or any rain back to the western portions of our state from what you're looking at right now. But the thunderstorm threat out east, we're talking small hail, some gusty winds, some heavy rain, which will be great. And then obviously in pockets where there's a lot of lightning, but not much of any heavy rain, the ongoing threat of some fire starts from lightning strikes. So all of that will be watched carefully the remainder of today. That activity, by the way, is expected to fizzle out overnight tonight. And tomorrow looks to be much quieter, drier across all of the state. All right, this is the current satellite picture with the surface maps. And what I've circled in white out in the Gulf of Alaska, you can see the front. That's the blue line with some triangular barbs, the cold front. That's tracking to come into our area Wednesday morning. We did talk about this last week, that we would have a rain chance either Tuesday, Wednesday, or maybe both. But now it's looking like there's the chance of some moisture coming in Tuesday overnight, primarily Wednesday morning, although the rain chance might linger into Wednesday afternoon for the I-5 corridor of Vancouver, Portland, and Salem. Now, the bad news is this is not going to be a big soak. This will probably end up being just a little dab of barely measurable rainfall for the Willamette Valley. So you're not going to be able to count on any significant wetting on your yard or your garden or anything like that. Behind this system, by the way, we'll get into a different weather flow. I'm going to get into that in a moment with some rising temperatures and lowering humidities. We've been in this higher humidity pattern going back over the weekend due to a southwesterly flow aloft, and we're still looking at higher, for us, relatively high humidity today and tomorrow of dew points in the mid to upper 50s. Again, the dew point is the measurement of the potential amount of water vapor a particular batch of air can hold. And for us, when dew points are mid to upper 50s, that's really high for us. So our humidity is going to be higher than what we're used to. And you've probably noticed that added stickiness. Now, I do want to go to the sticks map and talk a little bit more about this limited rain potential that we have for Tuesday overnight into the day on Wednesday. So what this shows you is everything from right now through Wednesday. So a lot of the scattered rain amounts out east include the thunderstorms that are going on right now. We're not really expecting any of that action tomorrow, and Wednesday is going to be a drier day out east as well. But notice I've got a 74 100th of an inch. I've got a half of an inch when you get over to Idaho. So there are or is the potential of, we're talking about mainly today into tonight, of some pretty hefty downpours and those scattered storms out east. Now, if you come back to the west with me and then move up north over Vancouver Island, this is primarily moisture that will be coming in Tuesday night, Wednesday with that cold front. Notice along the North Oregon coast, a tenth of an inch at most, it looks like. And we're mainly looking at, in the gray shades of the Willamette Valley and up in southwest Washington, a trace to maybe 0.01 or at most 0.05 inches of rain in the valley. Again, not enough to really water anything down and really barely enough to even settle the dust. You can tell there are some decent rain amounts, but well to our north up in Canada where you see the brighter colors, some of those areas could be picking up an inch of rain. So that would be great for them, but unfortunately it looks like we are going to lose out. Okay. Once we get through Wednesday, no rain chance showing up for a while, and our attentions will again refocus on a dry pattern with rising temperatures. So I want to jump to Sunday. So most weather models, most of them show that we have a fairly hot Sunday of at least 90 or better. Right now, my forecast personally calls for 95 in Portland and about the same in Salem on Sunday. And what we're looking at, and this is the European model, what we're looking at, I've circled in white. See the big H, high pressure ridge, 594 millibar high. That's a strong one. That's a hot high for this time of the year. That's coming in off the Pacific. So this is not the big high that's been producing all that heat in Texas and New Mexico and Arizona and even Florida. This is a new ridge setting up over the Pacific. So if this is true on Sunday, we would be well up into the 90s. Now let me stick with the European model, pardon me, and go to Wednesday. Notice that hot ridge out in the Pacific is still there. So we would have, if this is true, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, 4 days in a row of temperatures at least well up into the 90s. And potentially, depending on how surface features set up, maybe a day or two where we're going to at least be close to 100 degrees and maybe make it. So that's the European model. Now I want to show you this. This is the Canadian model. This is just Wednesday of next week, August 16th. And notice it shows basically the same, where I have my arrow ridging coming in over the Pacific Ocean. We would be feeding into that. Now, the Canadian model also brings that high that's been sitting across the southern U.S. and starts to build it back to the west as well. Now, I will tell you, the American model was showing hot weather next Monday into Tuesday of next week, the GFS, but now that's backed off. But it does show the potential of some 95 to 100 degree or hotter temperatures the latter part of next week. And I've talked about this, I feel like, quite a bit over the last week plus I've been chatting with you, that the models are playing a shell game. They're taking these potential building ridges out in the Pacific. They're taking that hot high that's been down over Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas, and they're moving it around. And one day it looks like the models are going to bring heat up into our area. And then the next day, instead, they keep us relatively cool in the 80s, and they take the hot weather and they hold it off to the east. So it's going to be interesting to see if this plays out for us to have some hot weather or not. But clearly, multiple models are now biting on a hot ridge coming in off the Pacific that would have the potential to at least get us up to around 100 degrees. So we're still keeping an eye on that. It's only the 7th day of August. There's still plenty of time for this August to turn out to bring some of the hottest weather that we've had so far this summer. Again, not a slam dunk it's going to happen, but the next opportunity sets up this coming Sunday into next week. So I have family in town, and then I'm going on vacation with my family to visit more family next week. So my weather site is on autopilot. The links are basically feeding you auto forecast information from the National Weather Service. Again, my weather site's portlandweather.com. So the numbers from that NOAA National Weather Service feed show decreasing clouds, increasing sun today, 83. I think we could get up to 84. They show a day on Tuesday that maybe has some early clouds, but tomorrow will become mostly sunny much quicker than today. And I have us up to 86. It shows 85. And then Wednesday, that chance of showers. This shows 80. That's reasonable. The chance of rain is best in the morning, but could linger into the afternoon. And if we don't get much sun, we may hold in the upper 70s on Wednesdays. That'd be a nice little cool off. And then Thursday, we turn it around. Here comes the sun. Here come the 80s. Friday, 87. Saturday, I think we could hit 90. This shows 89. Sunday, I think we could hit 95 or hotter. and this shows 93, and then maybe 95 to 100 or so on Monday or Tuesday to start that following week. Okay. So that is the update on this Monday, tracking hot weather later in the week, tracking our next chance of rain Tuesday night, Wednesday. Thanks for hitting subscribe if you haven't yet to my YouTube channel. That helps me out. Tell your friends about it, and I will talk to you soon.